think it was a historic 4 days. The jobs and money coming into our country there's never been anything like it. It's amazing what they've done in all three countries. You can't speak more highly.
President Trump has scored major wins in the Middle East to help boost America's economy. He secured $200 billion in commercial deals with the United Arab Emirates. And in Qatar, they're promising more than $243 billion in economic deals. Meanwhile, right next door in Saudi Arabia, they're committing to investing $600 billion into the U.S. President Trump even broke the ice with the new Syrian president, removing the long-standing sanctions on that nation. Here to discuss is former NSC Chief of Staff under Trump, Alex Gray.
Thanks for having me, Rachel.
Alex, let's talk about what you think is the most consequential thing to happen geopolitically and economically out of this trip.
Well, I think most presidential trips are forgotten about almost as soon as the president gets back. This one's going to be much more like Reagan when he went to Berlin and said, tear down this wall, or Nixon when he went to China in the 70s. This is a trip that fundamentally breaks with 3 decades of American presidents going to the Middle East, lecturing and dictating and telling Middle Eastern leaders, you need to be more like us, and we're gonna force you to be like us at the point of a gun. And it hasn't worked. And it's cost trillions of dollars and tens of thousands of American lives. President Trump is offering prosperity and deal-making as an antidote to chaos. And I think this is going to be a fundamental shift that's remembered decades from now in how the United States engages with the most troubled region on Earth.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, their main product is oil, but AI is on the future. So this is a way for them to diversify into tech. It makes a lot of sense. Donald Trump, as you mentioned, this breaks with the way we've done things in the Middle East. Can you explain the consequences geopolitically in terms of peace in the region for those countries, but also for Israel?
Well, I think this is like the Abraham Accords in President Trump's first term. And by the way, we're still waiting for him to get the Nobel Prize he deserves for that achievement. But look, this is going to be a continuation of of that type of progress. If we can establish a peaceful and prosperous Arab Middle East, we're going to be able to put together additional deals and additional Abraham Accords, hopefully with Saudi Arabia, which is going to be good for Israel's security. And by the way, Rachel, this is going to be critical for U.S. security going forward, not only because we won't have to focus on the Middle East from a military perspective, the way we have for 30 years, but also because we can keep China out of the region. And I think that is the #1 geopolitical objective right now, is to limit China's ability to get into the Middle East and to undermine U.S. national security interests there.
Yeah, and Donald Trump was not shy about pointing that out. I was going to bring up China as well, but he said in the interview with Bret Baier, this is about China. They were flirting with China. The Middle East was these 3 Arab countries, but we've come in on this trip and we've changed that. I want to talk a little bit about Gaza because that was on the minds of these countries as well, and also President Trump. Here's President Trump talking about the fact that there is now starvation, little children starving in Gaza. Listen.
Hamas is big, and we want to take care of the people. Look, people are starving. You see what's going on right now. People are starving. One of the things that one of the 3 great leaders that I saw 2 nights ago said to me, please help the people, the Palestinians. I said, other than the obvious, what do you mean by that? He said, they're starving. And he meant it with his heart. They're starving. So I've already started working on that. It's a deep problem, but we'll get it solved.
So what will happen with the Gazans, those that are starving right now, but over the long term? What do these countries want? Are we back to a 2-state solution? Is this idea of moving them off of their land? What is going to happen here?
Well, I think what people saw from that clip is that President Trump, those of us who've worked for him or have been around him, he has a humanitarian's heart, and he is truly moved by human suffering. We see it in Ukraine, we see it elsewhere. So I think he is very sincere in his desire to find a solution here. But the reality, Rachel, is that as long as Hamas is the governing authority in Gaza, you will never have peace. And this is why Israel's approach, as painful as it can be to watch the images on TV, until Hamas stops using the Palestinian people as pawns in its attempt to hold on to power, we're going to continue to have human suffering, unfortunately.
Yeah, actually, we're not really seeing it on TV. It's mostly images from social media. But I will say it's very clear that Donald Trump does have a heart for the humanitarian crisis there. And hopefully all four of these countries, including Israel, will find a solution and peace for those people as well. And by the way, the Arab countries also said that Hamas in charge was not an option. So that was also encouraging as well. Alex Gray, thanks so much for joining us. Really interesting stuff.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.